afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first ever podcast of Urban Labs. My name is Akarsh.
And I'm Adhyam, and today we are your hosts for the afternoon. Today we have two very special guests, Professor Arnab Bose.
Professor Bose. Professor Bose is a senior fellow at the Center for UN Studies at Jindal with an impressive background in smart urbanization, responsible banking, and sustainability. Guys, can you please have a loud round of applause for Professor Bose?
And our second guest is Miss Anshul Yadav. She is a first year student at JGLS who's lived in Chandigarh enough to know the ins and outs of the city. From the buzzing Sector 17 hangouts to the hidden local gems, only one true local can know.
So let's get to know a bit more about our guests from our guests themselves. Professor, let's start with you first.
Go ahead. So, how we are entering this particular debate is that whether Chandigarh is an example of a good city or not.
It is.
I've just said that Chandigarh is good, it's just not a city. So that is my argument. However, let's see what you have to say with respect to whether Chandigarh is a good city or not.
Anshul, if we could have a brief introduction from you as well about who you are and how is this a topic that is very close to you.
I'm just curious to know the definition that professor is going to put a good city into, and then all I have to say is my experiences and the way that I enjoyed living in Chandigarh and why I think it is a good city.
Okay, see, the important thing to understand about a city, the most important facet of a city is its creative class. Okay, the people who are entrepreneurial, the people who are increasing its output, etc. What has happened with respect to Chandigarh is that it is not a city which spurs economic growth. So that is the major issue. It is, of course, a kind of a well-maintained colony of bureaucrats, but otherwise, it just doesn't have any place where people would like to go from different other places to go, okay, my aspiration is to go to Chandigarh. People say that for Delhi, people say that for Mumbai, people say that for Bangalore, even for Chennai and various other places, Hyderabad, but there is no aspiration for Chandigarh, okay? And this particular aspect has a huge issue. I understand that Punjab, which was essentially a border state, so there was some block with respect to industry and other issues. However, there has to be a good city for Punjab and Haryana. Maybe one method of doing this is we keep Chandigarh as a completely different union territory. Punjab should have a different state capital. Haryana should have a different state capital. And then, like Haryana has Gurgaon, or Gurugram as it is now called. But Gurugram is a city. There's an aspiration for going to Gurugram. Okay. However, there is no aspiration for going to Chandigarh. This is where the definitionally we have a problem. Okay, the bigger problem is huge number of people, journalists to technocrats to urban planners, think that Chandigarh is an example of a good city. No, it is not. It's a waste of resources given the amount of people it can have. It's huge areas going only to say tens of people, whereas we need our cities to cater to millions of people. Chandigarh just doesn't cater to that. The other thing is, now this is where I'll become very controversial. Le Corbusier was not a correct person to have designed it. It's an abstract art of a city. Yes, he got an invite from Prime Minister Nehru during his time. Maybe it was sensible in the 1950s, but we have come to kind of a postmodern era. We don't require cities where you walk around the city and all you see is walls. Maybe there are gardens in between, but all you see is walls. That's not what a city is. The city should be like Mumbai, where you can see a lot of things and you get inspired, to become an actor or become an industrialist or whatever, other things, or in Bangalore, or even in Delhi where you want to become a Neta or something of that sort. But Chandigarh, all you can think of is becoming a bureaucrat.
Professor, sorry to cut you. And again, one thing that I think that you're missing out on is you say that Chandigarh is not a city where people aspire to go. But that is where you miss out on the fact that people from tier 2 cities in Punjab or tier 3 cities in Punjab and Haryana as well, many of them do aspire to go to Chandigarh, whether it is budding lawyers, because eventually people who practice in district courts in Punjab and Haryana, for them it is the Chandigarh High Court and multiple other people.
No, I agree with you. Because other than Chandigarh, people from that part of Haryana and that part of Punjab, they don't have any other place to land. Okay, I completely agree with you. But look at the scale of things which are required for the youth of Punjab and the youth of Haryana. Chandigarh doesn't offer that scale. Okay, in fact, why Chandigarh failed as a city is one of the problems which is affecting youths of Punjab and Haryana. Okay, so we need a much better, vibrant city which attracts people. It is not a zoning law for this is where the gardens are. That is not helpful. Okay, we need to have that creative destruction. And there was a very interesting scene with the music and all these things, but I don't think it was Chandigarh centric, was it?
No,
It was, yes. So that kind of answers the question that you do need a city. Chandigarh doesn't provide the scale. Okay, it is a very beautiful place, but it's not a city.
As far as I agree with the point that it might not be a big economic and industrial hub, but you cannot cancel out the fact that in places like Mumbai and Delhi, you don't really have the quality of life. Let's talk about why would a person want to work and earn so that they could have a better quality of life. Whereas you could be earning lakhs and lakhs in Mumbai, but you would still get a little apartment to live in. Whereas in Delhi, you don't have good quality air to breathe.
Okay, very important point which she's saying. Why we think of Chandigarh as a good place, okay, and some people mistake it for a good city, is the quality of life, where you can walk around. It's very, it's safe for women, okay. You can walk back even at 12 midnight. Am I right in saying this? So these are the qualities we want from Chandigarh. These are the qualities we want from Chandigarh. But see, Chandigarh doesn't have the scale. Okay, I do not know what is the population, but it's not it doesn't cross 1 million, which is not the kind of scale which we require. We are talking about 30 million people in Delhi urban agglomerations and Mumbai urban agglomerations. Okay, around 20 million people. Chandigarh is not offering that scale. And if you want to put that to scale, you have to have huge cities. It's not possible. And it's not resource efficient. In that sense, Gurugram is a better example. However, I agree with you. That was a very important point. That safety for women is a very important aspect for a city. The first thing which a city needs to do is provide its youth from the catchment areas a place to work. Chandigarh is not doing that. Chandigarh is providing the other things which other cities don't have. So other cities think that Chandigarh is the aspiration, but it is a false aspiration. Because how it achieves the safety of women, the first one goes for a toss. Now, what I'm trying to say is, a city we have to, okay, what is my argument? We have to understand Chandigarh correctly. Okay, we have to understand Chandigarh correctly. We have to understand what to embrace of Chandigarh. Its cleanliness, its safety for women, its accessibility, its beauty. Okay, we have to understand those aspects. Can we replicate it to other places? Like Cyber Hub. Okay, you went to Cyber Hub. In fact, I think all of us.
Yes.
What did you think? Let's compare Cyber Hub to Chandigarh.
It's more advanced. It's more for the people, for the international people who are working there mostly.
How was your feeling?
But what I believe is that I think that the scale that we are comparing, so cyber is basically, I don't think that the scale of comparison is correct at all.
Yeah.
Because when we look at cyber hub, it is a, how do I put it? It is a place where people go for entertainment. They've got MNC offices right there. It's a small area when compared to a huge city like Chandigarh. And again, Professor, one thing that I think that he missed out on while discussing the scale was the peripheral cities that are coming up. Mohali's got a lot of activity. Panchkula, then there is new place coming called New Chandigarh. Ajay, do you have something to add?
To add on to this point, I think when we look at Cyber Hub is more of a commercial space.
Cyber
But-
City, yes.
Yes, but Chandigarh would cater to people working from the unskilled labor class to the top bureaucrats. So we cannot compare these two because you cannot compare apples to oranges.
Correct. So I think it was a very useful discussion, and if I will sum it up thus far, is that look, firstly, a city should be an economic powerhouse. Okay. Secondly, cities should also have safety for women, and so I think the first aspiration of a city is to increase output and increase employment opportunities. When it is doing it, let's create a safe city as well. So I think the method of going about making a city is make the cyber hub and then figure out how to replicate the attributes of Chandigarh over there. Or let's do the other way around. Can we make Chandigarh into an international software hub? And how do we do that?
Mohali, in fact, is a booming IT hub. So it is actually creating a lot of employment opportunities for people in the IT sector. And it is also attracting a lot of youth of Punjab and Haryana, as you were showing your concern towards them. And I think apart from Chandigarh, as Akashdeep mentioned, there's Zirakpur, there's Panchkula, there's Mohali. So all of these sectors are also coming up with different sectors as in IT and then other employment opportunities that could be created there. So the youth that you were showing you concern about could also join these sectors. And apart from this, Chandigarh has a lot of government job opportunities. Now, from our parents' age, everybody has been attracted to government job. So I feel like Chandigarh creates more of that opportunity instead of being more of a commercial or industrial hub. And I think what you're focusing on is creating employment opportunities for the unskilled labor class. I agree, the industries are not well established in Chandigarh, but we also have to look out for people who are working above that tax bracket, or people who are earning above certain average tax bracket. So them having that quality of life, that safety, security in a city, plus the way that our everyday life is centered in Delhi or Mumbai, it's very fast paced. But in Chandigarh, it's very slow, it's very clean, it's very safe. So I think anybody who would be choosing to live would prefer Chandigarh over Mumbai or Delhi.
No, I completely agree that as a housing society, Chandigarh is brilliant. Okay, anyone, if those qualities of a housing society are there in Mumbai, they would choose to stay there. However, why you can't choose to stay in Chandigarh is you don't have the working opportunity. So I'll agree that Chandigarh is a good city once Chandigarh completes the other aspect as well, which is creating employment opportunities. Till that time, I'm sure it will, hopefully one day, then Chandigarh will be a good city. Till that time, I would say Chandigarh is good, but not a city.
I would have one more point to raise
Sure.
about the administration and the police. So, don't you think certain administration aspect and the way that police functions and works for the people also contributes to how you view a city?
True. I'll give you one aspect of Chandigarh where it is pretty important, which is reducing stray animal and human conflict. Okay, there's a problem of conflict which happens in every other city, which is stray animals biting, etc. Rabies deaths. Last, what I know is there are 22,000 rabies deaths in India, generally of street dogs biting, and this is a common problem from Chennai to Kolkata to Mumbai to Delhi. Okay, NCR region. That stray dogs and it's a conflict. Stray dogs are a complicated subject. It's not that we should get rid of stray dogs in one go, but their population has to be controlled. Chandigarh has a very good model of controlling and keeping the street dogs in a good condition. So there are many facets of Chandigarh which are brilliant and it should be incorporated. I think the fundamental problem of Chandigarh, I've already told you what it is. We have to correct that. And another thing is, there is a problem of understanding urbanization in India correctly. which is that the political narrative is Bharat Gaon mein basta hai. Okay, so people have not been worried about urbanization at all. But I'll just tell you that urbanization is the Achilles heel of India. Because when people think of a country, they look at those pictures of street food vendors which are quite grotesque, and then people think that India must be like that. So if the indices are also showing that India is worse than Afghanistan, people heuristically believe because Afghanistan is cleaner than India. Okay, so people will think, of course, it is worse. So we have to think of good, clean places. Chandigarh does provide a solution to that. Okay. However, once Chandigarh also gets the employment and the growth aspects corrected, then it will be a city. Chandigarh needs its creative class. And the local residents of Chandigarh actually are extremely entrepreneurial. Something has gone wrong. So we have to figure out what. And maybe this is an effort to explain to the governments of Haryana, Punjab, and the Union Territory of Chandigarh itself that you've got an amazing head start. Though I do not like a person called Lou Corbusier, but he was important during his time. But I think a good start was given to Chandigarh. We should work on that. There's a lot of work left, and Chandigarh has a head start.
So in a sense, you're saying that Chandigarh is like a straight A student who never takes risks. I mean, he's smart, but he's still not taking
True.
risks.
Yes.
Impressive, but maybe missing some of the spontaneous spark.
Yes. Yes. In the sense that somehow the residents of Chandigarh has to figure out, and the ecosystem of Chandigarh, the government systems of Chandigarh, they have to figure out. We have to do more. Okay. We have to do more to attract the youth, to start businesses, to make us more entrepreneurial. Also aligning. Okay, so there are a lot of people who take risks, but they take risks in different ways. Okay, so we have to figure out legally appropriate ways for taking risks, growing businesses, etc.
So personally, being from Ludhiana, if you're coming to Punjab, come to Ludhiana. Chandigarh, not the place to go. Ludhiana, easy. And also, adding on to that, so Professor, is it just the lack of chaos that Chandigarh lacks? Because if that is the case, then what is your opinion on Gift City? Because from the pictures that we've seen of the city coming up, I think that even Gift City would lack chaos.
True.
In a
That's
sense.
a brilliant insight. And Gift City might become the modern day Chandigarh. So people have to realize that a city is an organic mechanism. A city is an organic mechanism. You have to understand its creativity. A city is made by its artists. Okay? Understanding art forms is extremely important. And Chandigarh had a good start because of Lou Corbusier and then these things. But somehow or the other, the art form kind of lacked out. And another thing is, please do remember that artists can only be possible in those areas where there is business growth. Business growth, no art. So New York is an amazing example. The art and business was like a double helix structure growing together. We have to understand that when the cities in Europe were growing, it was also the business and art growing together. So it's not only business, okay? It is not only art. So I think the Gift City is only business kind of a thing, okay? Whereas Chandigarh was only arty, but it did not have the business. This is a very interesting insight which we have. But your points were also very important, which is on the gender aspect of the city. Okay, the city which respects its women, city where women are safe. It's an extremely important, and I would go one step further, a city which is accessible to all. Okay, the inclusion part of the city is also extremely important.
Anchal, adding on to what you said about Chandigarh catering to basically better. Sorry for the word. Sorry for using the word better, but a higher tax bracket. Would you like to add more to that? Because you've been in Chandigarh, you know what the city is like, and do you think that it is the presence of the people of a higher tax bracket that makes the city a bit more, how do I put it, laid back and lacking chaos? Could you just add more to that?
See, my point for adding that insight was because Professor was focusing on catering to the unskilled labor class of society, whereas in Chandigarh that lacks because of the lack of industries, whereas bureaucrats, government officials, and people a little higher on the tax bracket prefer Chandigarh more. So the thing is, as you mentioned, that we lack employment opportunities because of lack of industries. Because I feel like unskilled labor would be more attracted to industrial areas rather than somewhere where you cannot really find a job of that, which is that accessible to you, considering the educational background that you've had. But what I mean to say is when you are in Chandigarh, certain people on certain educational qualifications control the city. What I mean is that in Delhi, Mumbai, let's focus on Delhi. The politics, everything's a mess there. But in Chandigarh, since it's a union territory, and the police is directly, accountable to the government, and since it's a union territory, the central government is somehow also involved. So I feel like because of this accountability, the method of checks and balances makes it easier to focus our attention on the city and take out that chaotic part out and reduce the crime rate so that the police is also working, police is always on their feet, the hospitals, the ambulances. I think it was in news a few years back that the Chandigarh has the fastest ambulance service, that's like 7 minutes. So I think that is also because the central government somehow looks after it because of it being
Agreed. And these are very important things, and that's why we have urban labs to take this discourse ahead. So thank you for having both of us.
Professor Adhyam had one last question.
And one last question, and then
It is close to.
and this is open to both of you. Is with the times which are going right now, is Chandigarh on the road of becoming a good city according to you and you?
I think it is already a good city considering the quality of life and the positions of power that it poses with itself. But I would agree to one of his points that it does not have a lot of industries. But I think that also caters to it having a clean environment, because industries would also cause a lot of mess to the environment that Chandigarh has. Let's look at Delhi. Like, you cannot possibly breathe in Delhi. So what's the point of earning so much, working all your life when you cannot have access to clean breathing air? That's basically a basic need.
True. However, I think how I would sum it up is the debate is whether you have to have a clean city, then make it grow, or you have a growth city and then make it clean. I would choose a third option, have a clean, sustainable city. Okay? And I do not think India has those alternatives, and the Urban Labs is an initiative to understand the clean growth cities of the future. So this is our effort in that thing. Till that time, Chandigarh is good, it's not a city.
Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you so much, Anshul. We loved having both of you on the Urban Labs podcast, and we would also like to give credits to the entire team, whether it is Neeti, Tiana,
Miyakshi, Amya,
and everyone else who was involved. People from our research team to production team. Guys, thank you so much. And yeah, that's it. My name is Akash.
I'm Adhyam.
Do bhai. Until next time, see you guys.
Peace.